All right, so Joe Biden has already given Iran a deal. He just kind of said that in an offhanded way in a presser, I guess this morning Eastern time. Nobody knows exactly what's in it, although things are leaking out. Anyway, here to talk about it, there's probably no better human being to talk about it. That's David Friedman, who was a former U.S. ambassador to Israel during the Trump administration and the author of Sledgehammer, How Breaking with the Past Brought Peace to the Middle East. David, as always, thank you for coming on. This is pretty shocking news. As I was telling you before, I was on the phone with Senator Haggerty, successful businessman, our former ambassador to Japan, foreign policy expert. He had not heard of any of this. He was furious because he said the administration promised to brief the Foreign Relations Committee. They didn't. And then I read, now this is from Richard Goldberg, who's a national security guy in Republican administrations, has this nugget. I'm just going to leave this with you. Iran will get a financial package worth up to $275 billion in the first year and as much as $800 billion over the next 5 years. So that's a cool $1 trillion. I'd use the word jaw-dropping, but even that's not enough.
Yeah, it's astounding. It's shocking. And let's just start off, Larry, with recognizing that Iran is still trying to kill some of our friends. All right, that's the Iran that we're talking about, right? And whether it's 200 billion or 500 or a trillion, what are they going to do with the money? They're going to build a hospital. They're going to build a school. They're going to build more ballistic weapons. They're going to double down on all their malign activity, foment terrorism, arm Hezbollah, arm Hamas, and create an existential risk for the state of Israel. And when they're done with that, they'll come after America. So this to me is about as un-American, you pick your adjective, but it's a terrible, terrible direction.
We've laid out for Iran what we're willing to accept to get back to us on the JCPOA. We're not going to wait forever. I mean, I'd like them to wait forever. I'd like them to wait forever to put it on the table. This just comes out of the blue, all right? And this is a shocker. And also, David, as you well know, but I'm reading constantly, even the UN arms inspectors say time and again they can't get in there to inspect, and Iran won't let them get in there. And Iran's enriching like crazy. Isn't that part of this problem, too? They're getting very close to a nuclear bomb.
Let's just say that Biden was able to get back to the original JCPOA, which it looks like he can't. Looks like this will be JCPOA minus. But even if he got everything he wanted, we're talking about an agreement that will guarantee a nuke for the Iranian mullahs. It's an agreement that has no real inspection rights, as you pointed out. It doesn't cover military facilities. Now, where are they going to put a nuclear weapon? Except on a military facility. So this is deeply flawed, and I don't think he'll even get back to the JCPOA. You see, he's starting to blame Trump. Trump, it was the only president that put Iran on its heels. He took real action against Iran, and if you listen today to Yair Lapid, he was standing there next to Biden, and of course, on the surface, it's a love fest because Israel's always going to give great honor to any American president because the relationship is so close. But what did Lapid say? He said, we need a credible threat of force against Iran. And he said the word credible over and over again. And what was the message? The message was the United States is not credible when it comes to Iran. And the only country that really is credible is the state of Israel. And what I've been saying is, look, the United States is never going to prevent Iran from getting a nuke. They say it, they talk about it. They'll sign, 10 different documents with lots of word salad about preventing Iran from getting a nuke. They're not going to do it. They're not going to succeed. The only country that's really motivated and has the capability of doing it is Israel. What we ought to be doing, we ought to be defining the circumstances under which Iran crosses that red line. We ought to make sure Israel has the capabilities that it needs to prevent Iran from having a nuke. The world right now, I hate to say it because we should be in charge of this, but the world right now is really reliant on Israel and nobody else to keep Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
And Israel is, there's a lot of reports in the papers this morning and yesterday. Israel has taken a number of actions to subvert Iran.
They have. They continue to do it. They'll do it covertly to the greatest extent possible. But they could also use help from us. It is a very challenging military operation. God forbid it should ever be necessary. But I think if Israel has the capability of arresting the Iran nuclear program, I think that is the missing piece of the puzzle to getting Iran back to the table on acceptable terms, not on these ridiculous terms that you outlined at the beginning of our conversation.
Is there any change? I mean, I think the Biden administration has been very unkind to Israel so far.
Yeah.
Now, on this trip, is there any change? I want to just add to that, David Friedman. Biden did say in his presser this morning that he strongly supports the Abraham Accords. I haven't heard him say that up to now, not once. And I still see them flirting with the so-called two-state solution with Palestine and all this goings on in East Jerusalem, that they wouldn't let the Israelis come with them. So, I mean, what's your assessment of that relationship?
Look, for the first year and a half or so, they wouldn't even use the words Abraham Accords. They've gotten over that. They're using it now because it was so successful. But the proof's in the pudding. Look, we haven't normalized any other countries with Israel. It's almost 2 years now since we announced the Abraham Accords. They haven't been scaled. They could be.
Oh, you mean in the Middle East?
We haven't brought any more countries in, and they're there. I mean, we know they're there. I mean, we spoke to them. We know they're there.
In a second Trump term, wouldn't Saudis have come in?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
really?
Absolutely. Oh,
Serious? Serious.
And early, within the first year. No question about it. The other thing is, Biden wouldn't come to the Western Wall. Donald Trump came to Israel. One of his first stops was to the Western Wall. The Western Wall is the single iconic symbol of Israel because it connects the Jewish people back to their 4,000-year-old history in Jerusalem. Biden went to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Memorial. Trump then went there too. But, to Israelis, understand, as horrible as the Holocaust was and as incredible this museum is, that's not the DNA of the State of Israel. The DNA of the State of Israel is 4,000 years of history in this holy land, and Biden wouldn't acknowledge that. He wouldn't come to the Western Wall. Donald Trump remains the only sitting president to have ever visited the Western Wall.
So, who would benefit? Just last one, then we have to get out. Who exactly will benefit from this Iranian deal? It can't be verified. They can't have the inspection. We're going to give them $1 trillion, some such, okay? Given those broad parameters, who's going to benefit? Who wins besides Iran?
Nobody.
China, maybe. Russia.
Yeah, I mean, the Iran will be able to trade more with China. They'll trade more with Russia. Maybe they'll trade a little bit more with India. But we suffer greatly. Our allies suffer greatly. These are very, very dangerous people. The last thing you want to do is give them enough money to increase their malign activity beyond where it is today.
It's what Obama did. Remember the airplane incident? Obama, we make the deal, the plane comes.
Yeah, pallets of cash.
And piles of cash, I know.
And what did they do? What happened next? Did they stop funding Hamas? Did they stop funding Hezbollah? No, they gave them more money. This is not a hard one. And, maybe he thinks there's a quick political hit if he announces a deal, but American people are much smarter than that.
I think he's a quick political death. America's not going to support that. America loves Israel. America loves Israel.
Absolutely.
David Friedman, former ambassador to Israel during the Trump years. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Great to see you, by the way.
Great to see you.